In this video, I will show how API Manager brings together three core capabilities: the partner rate limiting, role-based access control, and advanced versioning with partner-aware deprecation, so you can ship professional APIs that are secure, predictable, and easy to manage. So let's have a look. You can open API Manager from Home or from the integration menu. Let's open Partners API. On the API tab, you see all the operations available. Let's start with the versioning. As you can see, there is a URL-based versioning. So we have post v1 orders and post v2 orders. If you go to the advanced settings, you can deprecate one of the versions with a sunset date and a warning message. Then every API has policy settings, which means that you can put the rate limiting per API. In this case, we have the restricted policy, which allows maximum of the 2 requests within 5 seconds. The third function is the role-based access on the API level. On the ribbon, you can click a Sign button and decide what kind of association should be fulfilled in order this API to work. So, in our case, we have the role of the Order Manager. As soon as assigned on the API level, this applies to all operations unless something else is defined on the operation level. So in my example, Post V1 Invoices has its own assignment criteria, which is Invoice Manager role. In this case, if I am calling these APIs under the Order Manager role, I will not be able to call invoices, but I will have access to the V1 orders and V2 orders. There is also the meta information. This additional tab includes the information for the OpenAPI specification, which is also a new feature where you can see the documentation of your API and try and call this. But before we do this, let's go to the channel so that we see how all this works together. I have the demo HTTP channel order with the policy restricted and the additional IDs. I have a username demo user and a role defined. This ID is equal to the Order Manager role. So basically, as soon as I am using this client ID and client secret, the calls will be done under the user demo user with the role of the Order Manager under the policy of restricted. Now, let's go back to the REST API and have a look at the OpenAPI specification. So here, you see these 3 operations, and let's call 3 of them and see how the different behaves. First, I authorize using the client ID and client secret, which I already mentioned before. So the first operation is post V1 orders, and this is deprecated. The sunset date is in the past, so if I call this operation, it fails with a 410 gone, because it's already sunset. For the post V2 orders, we still can call it. As you can see, it returns 200. But if we call it too often, it fails with too many requests. Because here, we have a rate limiting set with a restricted policy. And finally, the post V1 invoices. On the operation level, we have a restriction on the Invoice Manager, but we don't have this role. So if I call this API, it fails with 403. Forbidden, because I'm not allowed to access this resource. This was in the nutshell how these features will let you maintain a single API surface, reduce operation overhead, strengthen compliance, and onboard partners faster. Thank you for watching.